How does a bakery fire reveal all the secrets of an entire village? Jivik's simple investigation would uncover a complex web of business rivalries, family feuds, and hidden grudges in the village. This journey would show him the dangerous undercurrents beneath the community's surface. Sometimes the smallest incident brings the biggest secrets to light. In the village of Kimirut, 34-year-old baker Jivik thought he was experiencing the worst moment of his life when he saw smoke coming from his bakery that night. But the truth was much more complicated than that. He woke up to alarm sounds at 2 a.m. When he looked out the window, he saw his workplace was in flames. He immediately ran outside and called the fire department. Firefighter Zelu arrived 15 minutes later. "When did the fire start?" he asked. "I don't know. I was at home. The alarm woke me up," said Jivik breathlessly. His neighbor, Kelu, also came running. "Jivik, I'm so sorry. How could this happen?" After the fire was put out, Jivik looked at the ruins. The bakery he had been running for 20 years was completely burned, but the place where the fire started was in a strange location. "Zelu, could this fire have started from an electrical contact?" he asked. Zelu examined it with a professional eye. "No, the fire didn't start from the oven area, but from the office section, and—" He stopped. "And what?" "This fire's pattern doesn't look natural. Accelerant might have been used." Jivik was shocked. "You mean someone intentionally burned my bakery?" "It looks like it. We need to make a police report." He couldn't sleep that night. Who would want to burn his bakery? He had no problems with anyone in the village, or so he thought. The next morning, villagers started coming to offer condolences, but Jivik found some reactions strange. Baker Kalu was very supportive. "Jivik, I can give you a loan. You'll get through this situation." But local restaurant owner Melu's reaction was different. "What a shame. But maybe this is also an opportunity, right? A new beginning." Jivik found this comment weird. Why would Melu see the fire as an opportunity? That day, he decided to start an investigation. The next day, Jivik began examining the fire site more carefully. Zelu was also helping him. "Look, Jivik," said Zelu, "the fire's starting point is the corner of the office. There's a gasoline smell here." "Gasoline? But I don't use gasoline in the office." Kelu also came and examined it. "Gasoline was definitely poured here. This is arson." Jivik began mentally thinking about possible enemies in the village, but he had no direct enemies, or so he thought. Zelu, in this type of arson cases, who are the usual suspects? Business rivals, jealous competitors, personal grudges? Were you experiencing competition in the village? Jivik thought. Melu's restaurant had recently started using another supplier for bread supply, but that's a normal business decision. Who else is there? Grocery store owner Ravu. He was also trying to expand his own bread section, but business is just business, right? Kelu took on a suspicious expression. Jivik, sometimes business can be more dangerous than personal matters. That afternoon, Jivik casually went to Melu's restaurant to observe Melu's behavior. "Melu, I'm very sorry about the fire," said Melu with fake sympathy. "Thank you. Are you having bread supply problems now?" "Actually, I already found a new supplier, more reliable." This answer seemed suspicious to Jivik. The fire had happened just last night. How could Melu find a new supplier so quickly? "Which supplier?" "Oh, I'm importing from the city now. More expensive, but better quality." Jivik didn't find this explanation credible. Melu's financial situation wasn't sufficient for importing from the city. In the evening, he had a conversation with Kelu. "Kelu, do you find Melu suspicious?" Kelu hesitated. "Why do you ask?" "His reactions seem strange to me." "Jivik, maybe you're overthinking. You might be paranoid because of the trauma." But Jivik's instincts were telling him something else. On the third day, Jivik decided to do a more systematic investigation. He began analyzing the business network in the village. He visited grocery store owner Ravu. "Ravu, you were planning to expand your bread section, weren't you?" Ravu looked nervous. "Yes, but you're not a competitor anymore." This statement shocked Jivik. "I'm not a competitor anymore. I'm going to rebuild." Of course. I meant temporarily." But Ravu's body language wasn't confident. Jivik began thinking that he was also suspicious. He shared these observations with Zelu. "Zelu, both Melu and Ravu are benefiting from the fire." Both of them immediately made new arrangements. "But this doesn't prove arson. Maybe they're just opportunistic. Or guilty." That evening, Kelu shared strange information. "Jivik, I need to tell you something. Last week I saw Melu and Ravu talking together. It was like a secret meeting." "Where?" "At the village outskirts. They were having a very private conversation." This revelation confirmed Jivik's suspicions. "What were they talking about?" "I couldn't hear exactly, but I heard your name several times." Jivik was now convinced. Melu and Ravu were in a conspiracy. "Kelu, will you help me? We need to spy on them." "This could be dangerous. If they're really guilty, we need to take the risk. For justice." They made a plan for the next evening. Jivik and Kelu took a hidden position behind Melu's restaurant. They would check if Ravu was also there. At 9 p.m. Ravu came. They were having a secret meeting again. "We need to get closer," said Jivik. They carefully approached. They began to hear fragments of the conversation. Melu: "The fire was perfect. Now there's no competition." Ravu: "But what if there's an investigation? What if the police ask questions?" Melu: "There's no evidence. Gasoline traces will look normal, like an accident." Jivik's blood boiled. They had really planned the fire. Ravu: "Jivik is acting suspicious. He questioned me yesterday." Melu: "Don't worry, he has no proof, and rebuilding is very expensive. He'll eventually give up." Jivik had heard enough evidence, but suddenly Kelu started acting strange. "Jivik, maybe we should go now," said Kelu nervously. "Why? The most important part is coming now. It might not be safe." But at that moment, Melu mentioned another name: Melu. "We shouldn't forget Kelu's contribution. Without him, we couldn't have gotten access." Jivik's heart sank. Kelu, his most trusted friend? He looked at Kelu, but he was avoiding eye contact. "Kelu, you?" Kelu's face collapsed. "Jivik, I can explain." "You're with them?" "It's not what you think." But Jivik was paralyzed by the shock of betrayal. "Kelu, how could you do this?" asked Jivik, the pain and surprise in his voice clearly evident. Kelu bowed his head with deep shame. "Jivik, you can't understand. I'm in a financial crisis. My business is failing. So this gives you the right to burn my bakery." "They offered money, a lot of money, and they said you would build a better business with the insurance money." Jivik couldn't believe it. "Do you really believe these excuses?" Melu and Ravu came outside when they noticed the conversation had stopped. "Ah, Jivik," said Melu with a sarcastic smile. "Uninvited guest." You destroyed my life," said Jivik with anger. Ravu stepped forward. "Jivik, business is just business. Don't take it personally." "Don't take it personally? You destroyed my livelihood." Melu shrugged. "There's room for everyone in the market. You were dominating too much." "Dominating? I was just providing quality service." "Yes, and this was hurting our business," said Ravu honestly. Jivik realized this wasn't just a spontaneous decision. It was a planned, calculated attack. "How long have you been planning this?" Kelu reluctantly answered. 6 months. 6 months? Jivik was shocked. For 6 months you've been smiling at me while planning behind my back." "Jivik," said Melu, "don't be sentimental. The business world is cruel. You haven't adapted." "I haven't adapted. I was doing honest business." "Honest business isn't enough anymore," said Ravu. "You need aggressive strategy." Jivik was now seeing their true faces: greed, jealousy, and ruthlessness. "So what happens now?" he asked. Melu and Ravu exchanged glances. "Now you're going to forget this conversation," said Melu threateningly. "What if I don't?" "Then you might have problems," said Ravu. Jivik realized the situation had become very dangerous. Despite the threats, Jivik decided not to back down, but he needed to move strategically. "I'm going to the police," he said determinedly. Melu laughed. "Do you have proof? Do you have a recording? Do you have a witness?" Jivik realized he really had no legal proof. He only had overheard conversations. Kelu could be a witness. "Kelu is our partner," said Ravu. "He won't testify against us." Kelu looked guilty and conflicted, but remained silent. Jivik decided to try a different approach. "Okay, if I won't take legal action, I want compensation." "What kind of compensation?" asked Melu suspiciously. "Financial support, to rebuild the business, and a market share agreement." Melu and Ravu thought, this could be an acceptable deal for them. "How much money?" asked Ravu. "The part that insurance doesn't cover, approximately $50,000. "That's a lot," said Melu. "You destroyed my 20 years' business. It's a cheap price." After a private conversation, they agreed. "Okay, but there are conditions," said Melu. "You will never mention this topic, and the rebuilt bakery will be on a smaller scale." "Smaller scale?" "Yes, you won't monopolize again." Jivik evaluated his options. This was an unfair deal, but it was the path of least resistance. "Let's write an agreement," he said, but secretly he was making another plan. After Jivik signed the compensation agreement, he put his real plan into action. That night he went back to the meeting place with a recording device. He planned to record their confessions at their next meetings. 2 days later, the perfect opportunity came. Melu, Ravu, and Kelu had a celebration meeting. Jivik recorded the entire conversation with a hidden microphone. "Melu, the Jivik problem is solved. Now our market share is secure." "Ravu, the genius part is he's paying compensation, but our business still dominates." "Kelu, I still feel guilty. Maybe we went too far." "Melu, guilt is a luxury in business. You enjoy the profit." This recording was perfect evidence. The next morning, Jivik went to the police station and presented the recording. "This is a confession of arson, conspiracy, and extortion," he told the police chief. An investigation began immediately. Technical analysis confirmed the gasoline residue. Melu, Ravu, and Kelu were arrested. In the court case, Jivik's recording was decisive evidence. All 3 were found guilty on charges of arson, conspiracy, and extortion. The compensation amount was tripled for damages, and they received prison sentences. Jivik built a bigger, better bakery with the insurance money and court compensation. The village community was initially shocked by the scandal, but eventually they supported Jivik. "You showed courage," said the village elder. "You fought for justice." The rebuilt bakery became more successful than the previous one. Jivik maintained ethical business practices and gained community trust. After the experience, he learned that you need to be vigilant in the business world, but not compromising integrity is most important. 6 months later, Melu and Ravu left the village after their release. Their businesses had failed due to reputation damage. Kelu got early release for his cooperation. He apologized to Jivik. "I made a terrible mistake. I don't expect forgiveness, but I deeply regret it." After lengthy consideration, Jivik chose forgiveness. "Kelu, you were manipulated by greed, but you learned your lesson. you deserve a second chance. This story teaches us, sometimes even the closest people can betray because of greed and jealousy, but you must fight for justice and integrity. Forgiveness requires strength, but maintaining boundaries is also important. In the business world, success isn't about destroying others, but creating value. Jivik's experience shows that the ethical approach eventually prevails. Dear viewers, have you had experiences with trust and betrayal in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments along with the lessons you draw from this compelling story. If you liked this intriguing mystery story, don't forget to hit the like button. By subscribing to our channel, you can discover more mystery, drama, and justice stories from the depths of Inuit culture. Until we meet in our next video, remember to observe the true intentions of the people around you.